And we're in. Hello there, everybody. It is Sunday. It is Some Other Heroes Day. Hi, welcome to Some Other Heroes. We are Queer Dungeoneers, your dungeon delving gays and associated people, just trying to playing games and telling stories. Sorry, I am stumbling over my words. I'm clearly more tired than I thought I was. My name is Chris Mepham. I have the absolute honour of being the wordsmith, ironically, for this this wonderful set of stories, where we roll dice and tell stories in a world of floating islands, skyships, and deep magical mystery. When I'm not here, I am an illustrator, an all-round geek, a bit of a writer, and you can generally find me bombing around the internet being myself. I am joined by only two of our wonderful regular cast today. Alas, Charlie can't be with us today because she has a conflict, but we will be catching up with her during the week, where I'm going to do a special one-shot with just Aisling, which should be absolute chaos. But if she is in the chat, hi Charlie, we love you, and hi Charlie's mum, we love
Hi,
you.
Charlie.
Hi, Charlie's mum.
With me, who actually are able to be here today, are two wonderful people, and I think we will start with Wayne.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Yes, Chris and I are ever so slightly tired today, as we had a wedding yesterday, and apparently I'm not as young as I used to be, so it's taking me a long time to recover, and I only had like 2 espresso martinis. Anyway, I'm Wayne. I am not an illustrator. I'm the odd one out on the stream, but I am a brand designer and coach. And I will be playing the demure and miserable Dragonborn Rock in today's.
Changes every single week. I love it. Thank you so much. Theo, would you like to go next, please?
Hello, I am Theo. I use they, them pronouns, and I will be playing the awkward half-elf wizard, Eugene.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I use he, him, by the way. I forgot to say tired brain today.
As did I. I also use he, him, as does Rock. Although I have a feeling Rock would answer to whatever he's called.
Awesome. Well, before we dive in, a couple of tiny bits of admin. First off, we'd like to shout out some of our friends. To start with, we would like to shout out Wicked Game, who also stream Dungeons and Dragons weekly, but this on a Wednesday. They are in the middle of their Divisia school-based Dungeons and Dragons campaign. It's really, really good. We love them to bits. We've had several of them on the show at one point or another. We love working with, hanging out with them and just kind of seeing what they're doing and sharing stories with them. So please go and give them this some support if you're not doing so already. Our second shout out is to our other Norfolk TTRPG actual play, the amazing Dice and a Slice. If you like cake and if you like Dungeons and Dragons, why aren't you listening to this podcast? It is absolutely brilliant.
If you like cake, what a ridiculous.
They release a new episode every fortnight, set in a world of pirates and deep mystical shenanigans. So very much up our street, and we hopefully up yours as well. They are also currently doing their annual Bake Off review each week as well, as little extra episodes here and there, which is very, very funny. And they have Josh and Alicia have such a wonderful way with words anyway. So yeah, check that out. And if you do know them and you do like them, you'll be very excited to hear that Alicia, who plays Tala on Dice and a Slice, will be joining us for 2 weeks starting next week as a special guest. We're very, very excited. I can't wait to introduce her character to you. I'm keeping it a complete mystery to everybody. So even Wayne doesn't know. It's going to be very, very cool. So look forward to that. Because I know I am. Our final shout out. As Wayne and I mentioned, we actually were at a wedding yesterday, so we would like to shout out our wonderful friends Chris and Alex, who are just two of the most wonderful people we know. They just make us always happy to see them and things like that. And they were part of the group of people who played with Charlie, Wayne, and I as a before this stream. So they were around when we were kind of developing this idea. And although they didn't want to do that, they've always been very encouraging. So we just wanted to say a massive, massive congratulations to you both. We love you both to pieces, and we are so excited for your future together. Cool. I think, Wayne, you had some stuff you wanted to quickly say as well.
Yes, I do indeed. First of all, apologies from us for our postponement of our Space at the Table that we were scheduled to do on Wednesday. We hit the go live button at precisely the moment that Twitch had its biggest outings of the entire week. So that was not our fault, I promise. But it was kind of comforting because it wasn't just something that we did. So apologies about that. But we will be, that postponed episode we will be doing on Thursday this coming week. So keep a look at our socials. We'll put a reminder out there. But we will be talking about world building with Chris and I on Thursday this coming week. Also, thank you to everybody who voted on our social media about us doing a second sort of follow-up session talking about the new Unearthed Arcana, the 1D&D test material that's come out. They've just released the second lot, so if you haven't had a look at that, please do go and download it from their website. There's some really interesting stuff, but we will be talking about that soon too. So we'll let you know on a date on that one as soon as we have got that put into the calendar. But keep an eye out for that, please. And I think that's it.
Awesome. I think that covers everything. I don't believe there's anything I've missed. If there is, somebody will poke me at some point, and I'll make sure we shout it out at the end. Which means that we can dive into this week's episode. Previously on Some Other Heroes, our three friends returned from their mission at the cairn, brokering a peace between the Krithoric, the strange crystalline people who live inside the mountain, and the miners outside. Successful in their endeavours, they drove out the Embers, a group of thieves, rogues, and ne'er-do-wells, led by one Ashen Railhurst and an old enemy of theirs, Cotton, who they finally slew. Or did they? Coming back to Cloud's Cairn.
I beg your pardon.
Coming back to Cloud's Cairn with a crystal memory from their friend Ghost, they were revealed 5 names of 5 descendants of the people who built the Sky Shield, the mystical barrier that keeps the islands of the Scattered Lands afloat, and the dangerous AL, the godlike Fae, from wiping out the last remnants of civilization. Among those names were a couple that were scarily familiar, one of whom seems to have a direct connection to Eugene and his family, and the other is had shared a name with the cult leader who raised up the great blue dragon in the Empire some 20 years ago, causing a massive amount of destruction. With this list in hand, their uncle Perb, Tythig Perb, the gnome wizard, has started to put together a research team to help these band of adventurers as they start to get ready to head out and find these places. They reported into Rebecca to find that Rebecca, the mayor of Klauskern, to find that the citadel where she holds court had been attacked by the Embers, the very people that they had been fighting, apparently drawing out and getting rid of any sort of attention on them whilst they pulled out of Klauskern entirely. They also met a young halfling who was quite distressed and showed them the temple where the 13 seats of the gods sit. The empty seat, the legendary 13th seat, which most nations don't even recognize, had developed 3 sigils representing saints or guardians of that seat. One of them seemed very familiar, a creature that they had encountered before, Throne's Blade. And another one seemed to imply that Cotton was somehow tied to Throne's Blade now. After that, they returned home, rested up, had some thoughts about what they wanted to do with their free time. They have a week before they have to pick up their shiny new skyship. Eugene's sleep was interrupted as Aisling tried to take his hat from him badly. To ask, actually turned around and she asked for the puzzle piece, part of the strange alabaster stone puzzle box that she carries. She said she was going to do some research, but they woke up to find that she had left a note, not completely dissimilar to the one that you kind of see beside me here, explaining that she and Alabaster had gone to look into something that she was worried was a bit dangerous and she didn't want to drag everybody else into it, but it would be back before they were due to pick up the airship. We actually come into our episode with Rock and Eugene standing in the hallway having just had a brief conversation about.
Well, yes, I suppose you're right. I probably should trust Aisling, and she's quite capable. I think we should kind of give us some warning, though, rather than just a note saying, I've gone. I mean, what if we had other plans?
Do we have other plans?
Well, no, I'm not saying we do. I mean, we might. Why, do you have plans?
Well, not right now. Anyway, well, you know what Aisling's like. I guess she just decided that she had to do something now. I don't know. Don't you ever get those feelings in the middle of the night, like I've got a lead on something and I have to investigate it right now? Like right now? No?
No, not really. But yes, I mean, she's very impulsive. I'm not entirely convinced that Alabaster does anything to calm that impulsive nature. But there we go. Anyway, I'm sure she'll be fine. And if she isn't, well, no, I'm sure she'll be fine. I'm sure she'll be fine. She'll be fine. She will be fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good.
She has Alabaster. She's not alone, right?
I have a feeling she's never alone.
Well, I suppose you can't really be with someone living in your head rent-free.
What a terrifying thought. Anyway, but yes, I'm sure she'll be fine. Yes. While we just sort of talking about things, the thing with the sigils on the 13th throne.
Yeah.
So, are we thinking that your banishment of Cotton means that they've sort of tied him to the throne as a guardian?
It certainly seems like that's a possibility. Maybe it's like a punishment.
Good punishment for us if we have to see him again, yes.
Yeah, but I mean, he's in some kind of servitude, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how it works.
No.
Wait, do you think I did that when I banished him?
Well, no, but it was Thronesblade who reached through and grabbed him, so I would assume that they decided his punishment. I don't
Well,
think
at
it
least we
was...
know he's not going to be, I don't know, up to anything nefarious.
But I certainly wouldn't cross her with them. But yeah, yes, I mean, I do wish he had just kind of gone away forever. And we
Yeah, I mean,
wouldn't...
that was kind of my plan, but I guess at least we know where he is.
That is
Right?
true. At least we can, I guess, check on him if we ever really need to for some weird masochistic reason. But yes, it's just a little odd. I wonder if that's how Thronesblade sort of got their position, was also by somehow being tied to it or punished or...
It's a good question.
Hmm.
I hadn't thought of that.
I mean, there's a lot of questions.
Are either of you proficient in religion? And I'm fully proficient in Rock's case.
No.
No.
Okay.
I am a bard. I have half proficiency.
That's what I mean. Like, so most of your stuff would be hearsay that you picked up through tavern speak and the like. So
Rock would never spread hearsay.
no, but you would pick it up. But yeah, you haven't actually book learning on that one. It's one of those things I feel like you'd need to have actually
Yeah, no, I don't.
studied. So
Fair enough.
And what do you think about the other symbols? Because there were other symbols, right? So we're assuming that one symbolizes as cotton.
I mean,
a
it
rabbit
would be...
with an axe.
Yeah, it would be a bizarre coincidence if it's not cotton, but, I mean, the way things have been going, who knows? But I would assume it's cotton. And the other one, I think, was Throne's Blade. That seemed to kind of reflect what we have seen. So I suspect that the third one is Throne's Shield. Because Throne's Blade was very clear that they were both defenders of that throne. And so, but Throne's Shield had disappeared. So I'm assuming the sigil there means that they may have disappeared, but they're still somewhere. They're still out there. They haven't sort of died or disappeared or been, I don't know, evaporated. What do you do to Guardians of Thrones?
Pass.
Yeah. So that would be my guess. But obviously this is all rather sort of beyond my normal readings, I would say, especially considering that this is a throne that apparently isn't even recognized amongst some people. So a lot of people believe it's just fiction, this vacant throne for a 13th god. However, if it is cotton in that sigil, etc., and considering we have met Throne's Blade, it appears the 13th throne is definitely not fiction.
I wonder what happened to the god who sits in it, or who should be sitting in it.
Well, I don't know. Weren't many of the gods sort of... I don't know. Weren't they sort of sent away, or... Because there were more gods at some point, weren't there? I don't know. I think perhaps it'd be good for us to try and find that out.
this is actually something Rock can make a history check on.
Yeah,
It's the sort of thing that would appear in his mythology and the sort of stories. And Eugene, I think it's some sort of thing that you might have book read. So if you want to make a history check as well,
17?
17.
Oh, not good. Sorry, maths. 14.
14. You've probably heard mostly about the 12 gods, like the standing gods of the world. Rock, you're definitely right. There are myths and legends and sort of implications that there are out in the outskirts of the Scatterlands. There are other gods that are still worshipped. You know that the Whoosh people still worship animal totems, and that there's some are orcs and Goliaths and Firbolg worship titans, who they say one day will return. It's the main 12 gods of the world. Also, the rumor is that not all of them were the original pantheon. Some of them have been replaced or have risen themselves up. That there might have not been 13 thrones at one point. There might have been less or more. It's one of those things that the clerics and the deities of these gods do work very hard to try and keep people focused on their gods. But even beyond that, I think they are aware, and you are aware from your journeys and talking to different people, that it's entirely possible for a mortal to possibly become a god if they know how.
Well, I mean, the one question I do have is, I can't remember. Did Thrones Blade tell us what happened to the person who sat on the throne? Were they banished by someone, or were they? I can't remember.
They, from Theo's memory,
Yeah.
they left when.
They left to fight a war.
Yes, when the tear in the sky happened, right? The first time.
The
Is
first
that
time.
the same? Yeah.
No, they're not to do with Terror of the Sky. When the world was in threat, they left. And I don't think it's unfair to say that the extrapolation around that might have been they left to fight the AL.
In the original big battle.
Yeah. But Thronesblade also didn't mention a god. She said the guardian of the seat took Throne Shield and left.
Interesting.
So I guess if we ever discover what happened to Throne's Shield, we may find out what happened to whoever was on that throne, or the guardian of that throne. But I'm not sure where you begin looking for a sort of ancient guardian of a possibly fictional throne in a realm of dust and shadows.
How about in Ashling's head?
Oh, I'm not going in there.
Well, I mean,
I'm
Alabaster.
not going in Ashling's head. No.
Okay, well, it was more a figurative. Alabaster. He's from the realm of dust and shadows. He can't remember who he is. Maybe he's Throne Shield? Or maybe he's this mysterious guardian? I mean, he's made it pretty clear, I think, that he's not a god.
Yes, and he did mention something about sort of wanting to get back there, but that somebody didn't want him to, didn't he? But he does seem to be very knowledgeable, and it seems to be a sort of a key part of Alabaster's kind of mission is connected to that throne. So perhaps, do you think Thrones? Well, I was going to say, do you think Thrones Blade would recognise him? However, I'm not entirely sure I could describe Alabaster short of saying he's in Ashling's head.
Well, yeah, we don't know what he looks like, right? Oh, wait, didn't we see him once? Well, we kind of saw the shape of him.
Yeah.
Once, right?
Something slightly devilish. He's kind of like a the way to describe it, I suppose, is probably just like a ripple in the world. You couldn't look at him directly, but you were aware he was there, and he kind of looked devilish, but gaunt and long.
And I got the impression it had been like a long time ago that this happened. So,
Oh yes, because they were talking about sort of time, and it definitely didn't correspond to ours. I suspect it was probably centuries ago.
yeah. So
Which,
maybe she doesn't remember him entirely either.
well, and if it is Alabaster, he doesn't remember who he is or anything.
It's just mysteries upon mysteries.
I know. Well, you best get to the library and do some reading then, hadn't you?
Yeah, that is true. Maybe I do have some books that could help.
Oh, well, that would be good. I mean,
Well, I mean, we
how-
have a research team now, so we could get them on it, I suppose.
Oh, that's true. We do. They would come in handy after all. I mean, now that they live here in your house. Well, I have some things that I need to do today. So while Ashling is off gallivanting on her sort of party trip with Alabaster, I will. I'm going to pop out and do some things while you head up the research team.
Oh, okay.
Do you need anything?
No.
Cheese?
No. I've sort of gone off cheese.
There has been a lot of cheese lately.
I mean, I was never really the biggest fan of cheese, but
No, I
feel like I've become oversaturated.
I'm pretty sure I can smell cheese anywhere I go in this house.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to have a terrible job getting it clean once you have to, give it back to Uncle Perb.
I'll get my damage deposit back though, right?
Your uncle made you pay a damage deposit. your mansion will smell of cheese for eternity.
Maybe he likes cheese.
Uncle Perb?
Yeah.
He doesn't strike me as a cheese person.
He doesn't? Oh.
No, not unless it's accompanied by port.
Yeah. Okay, fair.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I know his type.
Wait, before you go, just a small hypothetical question.
Yes.
For no particular reason.
Yes.
If you were going to go somewhere, like if you were going to take someone somewhere to like spend some time with in the city, what would be like your top 3 hypothetically?
Well, I guess it depends on what you like to do and what they like to do.
Right. What they like to do.
I mean, is there any particular kind of place you're looking for, or is it to go and have a little sort of adventure, or is it a more quiet sort of meal, or is it a rowdy night of drinking and things?
Oh God, I have no idea. Well, not the last thing. I didn't realize there'd be so much thought involved, honestly.
I didn't know. Well, I mean, there's some very lovely places. The cliffs that sort of overlook the harbour, a very lovely view. If you just wanted to go for a walk, that's very good. Although it can be somewhat windy, so don't go too near the edge. Especially with that hat, you'll probably lose it. Otherwise, there are places in town. Oh, there's a lovely restaurant, also down near the harbour, but in the nice side. That's very nice.
I want you to give it a name right now.
I was going to say, what's it called?
It's called Falling Petals.
Lovely.
They have an enormous tree outside. You can't miss it. It's always in bloom for some reason. I suspect they have sort of some kind of enchantment going on. But yes, the Falling Petals is lovely. The tree branches extend inside, and they have tables under the branches. It's very pretty.
Wow, that sounds nice.
It's lovely. I mean,
I
it's the
think just got one of my characters to make up a little bit of my city. That's amazing.
I'm taking notes from our session that's coming up. Yes, it's very nice. I mean, it's the perfect place if you wanted to, I don't know, perhaps go on some kind of a romantic engagement.
It's just a hypothetical.
Well, yes, even hypothetically romantic, it would be quite nice.
Okay. So that's romantic.
Hmm.
And am I supposed to make a reservation?
Oh, I think it's always nice to make a reservation. I mean, there's nothing worse than turning up and, they don't have a table available. I mean, that never happens to me. They always make a table available. But yes, I would suggest that you let them know. And yes, and then it's very relaxed. It's not terribly partial or anything that requires, terribly good manners. So it's lovely.
Okay. Thanks. Good to know. Hypothetically.
Of course, I hope you enjoy a hypothetical meal there at some point.
Ironically, Rock, the Falling Petals is not too far from Landscall Cliffs, which is what you were describing to start with. So it actually would be a good place to walk after dinner.
If it's not too windy. I don't
Yeah,
want it.
or just don't take the hat or take it off. And where do you put it? Actually, I don't want to know. It's fine. But yes, I mean that.
Well, it's magically affixed to my head, so it won't.
Oh, that would make a lot of sense. I did wonder. Wait, when does it come off though?
When I take it off.
Oh, so otherwise it's just steadfast on your head.
Yeah.
Anyway,
why do you look like you're scheming?
Well, no, I was just wondering how it works and sort of what kind of force it would take. No, anyway, it's fine. Don't worry. Yes. Well, I mean, anything else that you need? Any other suggestions?
I feel like winter is coming on, and Rock is like, "Can I knock it off with a snowball?"
Catapulting. Whack.
No. That was all. Just a passing thought, I suppose.
Just a hypothetical idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. I mean, it's lovely that you're thinking of these hypothetical possibilities.
Well, you can never be too prepared, I suppose, for future.
Of course you can.
Hypothetical.
Well, you must have some spontaneity.
I'm sorry, what?
Spontaneity. You may have heard of it. It's a bit like impulsiveness, but usually a little less dangerous. I'll give you a perfect example. Spontaneity. Surprising someone by taking them away for a day somewhere fun or beautiful. Impulsiveness, jumping off a dragon in the middle of a fight.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I understand. I see the difference.
Great. Super.
Spontaneous. Should I be more spontaneous? Is that?
It's
that a hint?
Well, no, not at all. Spontaneity is a little difficult because, by its very nature, it's ever so slightly difficult for you to plan to be spontaneous.
Oh, okay. So you can't plan
spontaneity.
spontaneity.
Yes, it's a new word here in Erebus. You can't be
so
spontaneous.
I can't say once a week I am going to set aside some time to be spontaneous.
So you're going to schedule time to spontaneously choose to do things. You do say that again?
Yeah, just to make sure that I'm meeting my spontaneity schedule.
Oh my good lord! There's no schedule for spontaneity. Okay, you know what? Don't worry about the spontaneity. Just if the moment takes you, know that you are perfectly allowed to make on-the-spot choices to do things with people.
Right.
You don't have to plan for every occasion. Sometimes if it just feels like you want to do something in that moment, you can.
Okay.
Good.
So no
If
no
I
schedules.
if
I'll
if if I
cross
see
that out.
you if I see you scheduling spontaneity, we're going to have stern words. So yes, be spontaneous, but don't plan for it.
Right.
And make sure that you plan for your evening out, but don't be too prepared. See? Simple.
But how do I know what is too prepared? What's
Well, you'll know it feels too prepared if you feel like it's very stifling, or you're bored, or yes, or it feels like you're kind of doing things just because they're part of a plan, not because you really want to do them.
right? Okay. Yeah. So the plan is like the backup, just in case.
Think of the plan as like your reservations and your plan is kind of like the guidelines for the hypothetical situation, and within that you can sort of choose to
I can
do
leave
things
some room
exactly. You know, with your spells, for
act
example.
spontaneously.
Correct. With your spells, for example, you know that there are certain requirements for spells and rituals, and you have to do those to make the spell happen. But you can choose to add your own flair and creativity to them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Well, there you
Why don't
go.
you just say that to begin with?
Well, obviously, because I'm dreadful at communicating. Sorry, my cat just leaned on my volume button. Yes, but well, I mean, if you know, if your hypothetical situation needs any further clarification, please do let me know.
Okay. I'm good for now, I think. Hypothetically speaking, obviously.
Of course. Good. Well, I'm glad I could be hypothetically helpful.
I think it's about this time the two of you sort of turn and just see that Tythic Perb is standing in the doorway with a mug of coffee, watching the pair of you.
Oh, Uncle, gosh.
It really reminds me of our adventuring days. You know, you two are wonderful. Just kind of
Did you schedule spontaneity?
Oh, good lord.
no, but sometimes you can schedule yourself some free time on which you can be spontaneous.
Ha, you see?
The inclination to be, I will go to this place and just do whatever happens.
Can see that little wiggle room within the guidelines of the plan.
Within the schedule, yeah. Okay, I got it.
Okay, small steps. Yes, small steps.
Rock, there was a small male bird tapping at one of the windows, by the way.
Would you excuse me? I just need to check that, and I will excuse myself and go to whichever way he pointed.
He actually points towards one of the actual rooms that actually do go out onto the street, as opposed to the rest of the magical
One of the
mansion.
rooms that work like a normal room.
And indeed, there is a folded letter which is kind of, or actually, it's come in the shape of a hummingbird, and it's kind of sitting on a desk, waiting, and it has your name written on one of the wings.
I should just put my hand out and wait for it to land and open.
It hops onto your hand and folds out into a sheaf of paper, as you've seen it kind of do reverse. Inside, it says the following. Brother, or Miss Kiki, I read you loud and clear. We, of course, must attend a tea party together this coming week. Let me know where we can collect you from, and I shall send the appropriate people. Yours eternally, and then K.
Good. Lovely. I will just place the bird in my pocket and head back to see if Uncle Perb is still trying to explain spontaneity.
Yeah. I think this has gone down a rabbit hole about the whole difference between planning time to be spontaneous and just being spontaneous with some time where you have for yourself. No, I really, I mean, well, maybe you just be spontaneous in the way that Eugene would be spontaneous.
Right, okay. I'm getting some mixed signals here, but
Just
I'll figure it out.
try small and then work up to bigger things. Like, I mean, talk to Aisling. Aisling seems incredibly spontaneous.
That is true.
But don't use Aisling as an example.
Okay.
Well, you literally just gave him Aisling as an example and then tell him not to. I mean, no wonder the poor boy's getting mixed signals. You're confusing the life out of him.
But is not Aisling the key example of someone who is spontaneous by nature?
That is true, although bordering on impulsive, I would say.
Actually, you're very fair point. You kind of pushed against that line quite a lot with Aisling.
My brain hurts. Can we stop talking about this now?
Yes, absolutely. Right, well, you two have your day to yourself. I'm going to be doing some study. It'll be a couple of days before the rest of the research team arrive. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help. I think even Eugene, you kind of subtly pick up the fact he kind of almost seems to be talking directly to Rock at that moment. I shall be in my study.
Super, lovely. Right, I'm going to head off and do some things, and yes, I'll see you soon.
Right, you don't need any help. You.
Oh no, it's just I'm just going to do a little research, asking some questions and things to see if I can get any ideas about all these many mysteries we have facing us.
Oh, okay. Well, let me know what you find out, I suppose.
Well, but of course, and I mean, do enjoy your research team. I hope they're helpful. Do they? Is that what research teams do? They help you?
Well, they do research.
Okay, I asked for that one. Right.
I just feel like there's that meme where it's just like that's on me. I set the bar too.
Definitely on me. Good. Well, enjoy your time and any hypothetical spontaneously planned events that you take part in.
But see, you just said spontaneously planned.
It was a joke, Eugene. It was because of the.
Okay.
Oh, for goodness sake! Right. Goodbye. I'm going to head down the hallway and then go to my room.
Excellent. I'm going to follow Rock for the minute, and I will come back to Eugene in a second.
Just stop following me.
I am. I'm like the camera that you can't see over the...
Uncle Bird, get away from me. Yeah, so Rock's going to go to his room and just... he's going to just take out a little bag and pack a couple of notepads and things like that in there, and a couple of other essentials. And then he is going to head to Uncle Perb's library, study. That was it. Actually oversized or just normal sized and he's Oh. Chris, can you check your audio? I think you... I have kitten paws like right in front on all my wires and stuff. So I'm like, every time anyone mentions anything, I'm like, wait, is everything okay?
Bear with me 1 second. Can you hear me now?
I don't. Well, we can hear you. But...
We could hear you before, so.
Yep,
Yes.
Edge says they can hear you.
Woo!
Thank you, guys.
The technology gremlins are back.
Oh, don't. Yeah, we're all good, Chris. They've said so.
Yeah, I think you are heard now.
Okay, well, you can hear me here. That's a good thing. And
Edge, I'm very impressed if you can follow the lip reading with this conversation, to be honest. Thankfully, it was just Chris.
so you open the room and you find Perb sat in a very oversized chair, leather-bound chair, with a pseudo dragon, like a little purple and green pseudo dragon laying across the arm of one, which kind of looks up and kind of go a little puff of smoke as you kind of come in. Ah, Rock, there you are. Hi. Yes, did you get an answer that you wanted?
Yes, I did. Thank you. I'm going to just pay a short visit to some acquaintances of mine.
Good, good. Where am I taking you?
Well,
Is this you
how?
still want to go home, or as close as I can
Yes.
get you, or do you want
Well,
to?
yes, as close as you could get me to the sort of, well, to the capital, I guess.
The capital, or do you want to go back to your family home?
Oh, no, the family home,
Yeah.
definitely.
Um,
Yes, just a sudden thought. How do I get back?
well, how many of those letters have you got, or do you have anybody who can you sending? Because I can come.
Oh,
with
yes,
you.
I'm sure. Oh, well, that would be most useful. Thank you. I do appreciate it.
In fact, probably a good idea to wherever we end up is make your way back there, because I will be refamiliarized with that location, so it'll be easier to teleport.
Absolutely fine. I'm sure that'll be no problem at all. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Right. Well.
Also, don't, if you don't mind, don't mention to anyone where I've gone. It's not a family visit. It's just a sort of quick in and out.
Whatever you need, my young friend, of course. Not a problem. I will keep it under my hat.
Also, I had another sort of important question.
Mm-hmm.
What do I call you?
Tythig would be fine.
Good, fine. I just Uncle Ferb felt a little odd because you're not my uncle at all. So
I am not technically Eugene's uncle either. I'm just
well, yeah, it
friend of the
seems
family.
less unusual with Eugene as you've known him. You know, Uncle seemed very familiar, and Herb felt a little too over familiar. So yeah. Anyway, good. Tythic. That feels even worse. Okay. Yes. When would that be possible?
What are you doing right now?
Well, I'm waiting for you to tell me when we can.
Are you ready to go now?
I am. Yes, I'm
Excellent. Well, I prepared.
ready as I'm ever going to be.
I prepared the appropriate spell. So if you wouldn't mind coming into the room, closing the door behind you.
I will do so.
Albert, he kind of points to the pseudo dragon. He's like, hop on. And pseudo dragon kind of winds himself around his collar. Right. So I am going to drop you at the Maradras Islands. It's the closest I can get to your actual home. It's an area I am familiar with, so therefore it makes this spell ever so slightly easier.
Thank you.
As I said, it seems that someone has changed a lot of the magical circles in the Empire, which is, I suppose, them being cautious, but something I'm going to start asking some questions about.
Well, yes, I will ask some questions while I'm there if I have the opportunity.
Excellent. Well, you sounds like you're going to be busy anyway, so if you don't find anything, do not worry. Ready?
Yes.
And he pulls out like a crystalline rod, which is his wand, and he kind of focuses on it for a second. And then there is a brilliant golden light, which kind of envelops the pair of you. And you feel, you know that elevator feeling where you kind of your stomach sinks ever so slightly and you feel gravity changing. Imagine that, but about 5 times as strong. You feel like you're both simultaneously being compressed and pulled at the same time, and it's not uncomfortable. But it is very weird. And as the light kind of fades around, you find yourself in a completely different location. But I will need you to make a con save.
Yeah. Ah. Saving throws. That would be an 11.
11. Yeah, you vomit. You empty the what's left of your breakfast. You kind of feel Tythig hand just kind of patting your shoulders. And it's all right. Just hang on. And hand you a little wineskin with some water in.
Oh no! Just don't look at me.
Here, have some water. It often gets most of us that first time that way.
Yes, that was unpleasant. God, I thought Eugene's misty step was nauseating.
Well, you just travelled the best part of 700 and odd miles.
Yes, I also feel like I've travelled back 20 years too. Anyway, thank you so much for your help. I will send a message as soon as I am able to return.
It kind of reaches into his. Do you have a male bird?
I no, I don't.
Do you want one?
If you had a spare, that would be most.
Kind of
most
hand
welcome.
you male birds. Like probably easier.
Thank you.
Be careful. Remember, like you
Oh
haven't
yes,
been home. You haven't been home for 20 years. Things have changed.
Oh yeah, I mean it's just a casual. I won't be here long. But yes, thank you.
Right. Well, let me know when I can come and collect you.
Of course, thank you.
And he holds the wand again. And you see him go, and kind of almost twist into a little shape. And there's a little, and he disappears. And you are left in a cobbled street, in a very cold, small town. The smell of skyfish is rich in the air, and you realise that he has taken you to Maradras itself, the fishing village, which is not too far from your ancestral home. It's kind of like a couple of islands over. You can probably, if you can get the right ship or you can get somebody to come and collect you, you can probably be there within a couple of hours, but you just need to get a sky ship is the problem.
And the first thing I will do is just literally just kind of sit down for a minute, and I'll stand up again, close my eyes, and my outfit will change so that it looks, just like an average person walking around. Very simple robes, very simple kind of coat over it.
There's something very familiar about being back in this area and another dragonborn wandering around in like standard robes doesn't really draw much attention. There are, you probably think you haven't seen this many dragonborn in one place since you left home. The population is about 80% dragonborn here. Different colours, different creeds, some with tails, some with not, some with horns, some with the ear flaps. But it just very typical of Mistrium itself. The rest of the population is made up mostly of humans, with the odd smattering of halfling, a couple of tieflings that you see, and that's about it. And you're just reminded about how narrow a lot of the centres of Mistrium can be.
I will just sort of pull my hood up and just try to be as invisible as possible, really, and walk towards where the ships are,
Yeah.
or any of the boats that I know sort of come and go from the island. And I'm just going to try and see if there's anyone who has some kind of ferry that I can pay to go to. What's the island where my family home is?
Oh, asking me these questions. It is. You are actually on Belvoir itself.
Okay. So yeah, so I will just see if I can find someone who will take me to Belvoir.
Make a Make a general persuasion check.
Sure. It's a good thing I've got good persuasion. 18.
18. You kind of like asked around on the docks. Most of the people are fishing people. They don't tend to travel that much. Somebody says that they will take you to the outer part of Belwa, to one of the fishing villages there, but it will cost you 10 gold to go, which is...
I think Rock doesn't even negotiate. He kind of looks like he grumbles a bit, but he just says yes. But also is very surprisingly so doesn't say very much. So it doesn't engage in very much conversation and just sort of very quietly, almost withdrawn, kind of just agrees and just sort of shows them the gold, and that's it.
You find yourself on this rickety old skyship with a complement of quite moth-eaten sailors at this point. They kind of get along with that, and as long as you're quiet and out of the way, they don't even seem to really notice you that much.
Yeah, I think Rob will find a corner and literally just kind of cross his arms and put his head down and pretend to be asleep for pretty much the entire journey.
Awesome. Can I have a perception check off of you?
Sure. Oh, no, that's a natural one.
Okie dokie. I will not have a perception check off of you.
No. My
Yeah.
perception fails.
Your perception fails.
My hood is too big, I cannot see it.
You overdid it. The journey does take you about an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours, and then you see the very familiar, quite lush island of Belwa, at the center of which, raised up on like a half mountain hill, you can see the very sandy stone of your ancestral home. The gold-painted spires glistening in the sunlight, and the flag of both your crest and the Empire waving from several masts in the strong northern wind.
Great. I will disembark and pay them their gold.
Excellent. You pay them their gold. They are very grateful, and they push off, leaving you alone on the dock with a single figure.
Okay. Can I see what they look like? Can I see their face or anything?
You can. They look like a human. They're human. They have like patchy blonde facial fur. Facial fur.
Facial fur.
That's how Dragonborn see it. It's the facial fur thing.
I mean, it kind of fits with D&D, but yes.
And sort of like pale
and blonde cranial fur.
Yeah. And pale. Well, they're kind of wearing a hood, so you can't really see, but they have very pale, quite roomy, blue-green eyes, and they're kind of looking at you intently. And
Okay.
as you kind of like are about to say, "Can I help you?" they pull a knife and lunge at you, only to find a fist in their jaw as they fall to the side, and you find yourself in front of your childhood friend, Millie, who drops her invisibility spell.
I think Rock's probably very unnerved by the whole thing. And immediately, as soon as he sees Millie, he's like, "What? For goodness sake, what? Oh my god, I've been back 30 seconds. What is going on?"
Before she holds a finger up in that way that says, I can't talk to you right now, and she just kind of lays into this guy, knocking him out, tying him up and rolling him into the side. And she kind of looks at you and starts signing really quickly. You were supposed to let us know you were coming. Do you have any idea how much risk you put yourself at doing this?
Rock's just going to sign back saying, "Don't be ridiculous. I was about to let you know. I just got a fairy. And who is this and what is going on?"
She just kind of takes your arm and she says, Camber will tell you as much as she can. Quickly now, we need to move. And she kind of touches like a brooch just on her lapel, holds her breath for a second and puts her hand on you, and you feel the shift of magic. And you are, because you're quite familiar with the spell, you realise you're both invisible.
Okay. I will literally just put my arm out so that I can be guided.
Yeah.
Without any communication, and will walk wherever she directs me.
She leads you back through the streets. Actually, a familiar trek for you. This is one of the places, the streets and things are very much the sort of places that you, Millie, and Campbell used to sneak out of the house on a regular basis. So she's still using your childhood tricks to get in and out of the palace, of your mansion. She leads you back up like a closed little tiny alleyway that kind of is supposed to be for help, into like a courtyard, and you can see this staff doing their normal bits and pieces, and she moves up to behind what would be the coal shed and just drops it for a second. She puts her finger on that and just taps on the window, and there's some movement, and then a door, which you would know would be into the scullery, opens up, and you are face to face with your family's long-time cook, Mrs. Colt, a half-orc woman. The other half is rumoured to be giant because she just fills the door, and she ushers you both in really quickly and then pushes the door closed behind you.
I will pull my hood right up so that they can't even see my face.
Yeah. And she just kind of marches you in. She goes, "Oh, you must be absolutely starving. I will set you down." And she can just guide you in and puts you down on the seat without even kind of asking if you're okay. Millie's like, you don't quite see what Millie's signing, and she's like, I know, dear, it's all fine. I've got it." And she reaches out and just kind of pulls out some bread and things like that.
I think Rock's just going to sort of, still with his hood down because he doesn't know who knows what, is just going to say, "Thank you very much. I don't really have time for sort of eating right now," and just going to kind of look at Millie as if to say, "What?"
Well, you're going to have to find time, Rock, because otherwise you're going to bump into your father.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad this whole thing has been such a secret. Fine. Yes. Well, okay, great.
There's some movement, and somebody else comes into the room, just kind of pulling the door behind her, and you recognise Miss Brightwell, your governess, looking much, much older, the human woman with bright silver hair, but still remarkably well presented, and has this air that kind of used to command so much attention and awe from you and your sister. And she marches in and she goes, "Well, there we go. The staff will all be thinking that you and I are having an affair, Miss Colt. So they'll be chatting about that and not worried about the stranger moving around the house."
I'm just going to look at Millie and, just with a death stare, just going to sign at her saying, "What did you and Camber do? Send out a memo to all the staff?"
She signs back, "No, we just pulled in the people we could trust to keep your presence here secret."
I'm just going to sign back saying, "Well, I'm glad you can trust them all."
Oh, don't be like that. Mrs. Colt just kind of pats you gently on the back and puts a warm loaf with some bread and different jams in front of you, and a pot of tea that's still steaming.
I think Rock very sort of meekly and politely just says thank you, and pours some tea.
Ms. Brightwell sits in the chair just opposite you, and she goes, "Well, let's have a look at you."
Very well, and I'll take the hood down.
Well, You certainly have grown into a very handsome young man. You do look like your father.
You could have stopped at the compliment and not added the insult. Thank you.
Um,
But you look very well.
Thank you. Not having children running around under your feet apparently agrees with me. But your sister wouldn't let me go when she took over the house.
Well, I'm not surprised. She needs all the help she can get.
Indeed. And that's why we agreed to help, because we know that she would love to keep you safe, but she does have to make sure that no one suspects you're here. Your father came back 2 days early from the capital. Apparently, he says the food doesn't agree with him. So your sister
Probably too exciting.
Well, my lord,
Oh, please don't call me that. Just Rock is fine.
Technically, you are now Lord Protector of the house,
And technically, you're an accomplice to espionage right now, so Rock will do fine.
Oh dear. Well, Rock it is then. And don't worry, young man. It is just this circle here and your sister.
Well, apparently it was other people too, as someone tried to stick a knife in me the minute I stepped on this godforsaken island.
Yes, you're quite a popular figure like that. Oh, wrong accent, Chris. Well, you're quite a popular figure around here at the moment, and
What? Why? What do you mean?
well, you uncovering an island and saving us from giant monsters, and
Look, I know I've been gone a while, but I'm pretty sure that when you're popular, it means the opposite of people trying to stab you upon sight.
yes, but there's a people that kind of look upon that situation, and they think that perhaps you should have stayed here and lent our strength to the Empire.
I mean, that makes perfect sense in the Empire. The people who wanted me to stay are consequently going to stab me so I die when I get back. Perfect sense, obviously.
We didn't say it was logical, dear. Just that there are people who are keeping an eye on you and don't want you seen as, how should we put it, a hero that people should follow, a life outside the Empire.
Well, yes, that's pure jealousy because everyone would like to have a life outside the Empire. Anyway, with my father being back, does Canberra have a plan? Is there a way that can we get rid of him? I don't mean get rid of him. I just mean sort of out the way for a day or two.
Well, your sister's just having some tea with him, you see, and you know how he gets sleepy after certain herbs. So he will probably want to retire, probably feeling that he's a little worn from his time in the capital, and then the two of you will have the run of the house for a bit. But be careful, because your mother still has a load of people directly in her employ, and if you're not careful, she will find out sooner than later.
Yes, we will. But as long as Canberra doesn't send out another sort of memo to half the staff, I'm sure we'll be fine.
Millie just kind of goes, just us three. Honestly, you are such a drama queen.
I'm just going to sign back and say, I was nearly murdered.
Fortunately, somebody was paying attention. She signs back and she smiles and pokes her tongue out at you. Just kind of bows to the other two members of staff and then steps through.
I'm just going to, as soon as she turns around, so she can't lip read or anything, I'm just going to say to the other two, honestly, you can't get good help nowadays.
Well, she wanted to go with you.
Go with me where?
When you left. She never told you.
No.
She was worried you'd be in danger. Now, this is gossip. She's never outwardly told us this. You're being very rude, Aga.
Besides, Canberra needed her. She should have stayed here. I mean, she did stay here, but she never mentioned anything about wanting to leave. Anyway, that was many years ago, and as I say, I think Camber needs her far more than I do.
I think you can have a quick insight check on these two women.
They're not going to try and knife me, are they?
No.
That's only an 11.
No. Unreadable. These particular women have always been unreadable from you to you. They have always provided like a stern guidance, but also moments of warmth and genuine care. And you've never quite got your head around. They've always seemed to have this sort of almost psychic bond, ironically, that you've never been able to read.
I think Rock is very much struggling with having two sort of figures from his youth here, authority figures and teachers and stuff. So he's literally just sitting like a sort of really uncomfortable small child, just kind of slowly picking at the bread in front of him and sort of drinking tea and not really knowing what to say.
I think there's something familiar. Whenever there were scraped knees or fights with your sister where you came off worse, this is probably where you ended up. Sat with one of these two women.
Yeah, sounds about right.
It takes about 10-15 minutes, and then there is a gentle knock at the door.
Of awkward silence.
Yeah. Well, no, the women just sort of talk around you. They let you sulk. I
beg your pardon.
They're comfortable with you kind of just having your moment to yourself. And there's a gentle knock at the door, and Millie comes back in. She kind of waves for you to follow her.
I'll follow immediately, and just as I go out the door, I'll just sort of look back at the two of them and just say, "Thank you for your help. I do appreciate it."
As you kind of go through into like the upper house itself, Millie signs to you. Campbell's people have changed the shifts. Somebody came down sick. She kind of inverts commas on the sick. So we should only have eyes on us that are friendly.
Great. I'll just put my hood back up immediately.
She guides you through the house into the open study, which used to be your mother's study, which belongs to the lady of the house. As protocol demands, now your mother is a high seat on the Imperial Council. Your sister has taken over the daily duties of the house and is now lady of the house. Millie knocks, and you don't hear anything, but you kind of feel that psychic twitch of familiarity. And she opens the door and leads you back in, and your sister is sat behind your mother's desk. It doesn't quite look as neat and prim as your mother. There's paperwork everywhere, suggestions and notes, and she has a new board on the back where she's kind of scribbling ideas for how to make the house work better, to bring more money to the people in Belvoir, how to kind of reduce the imperial taxes but still remain efficient. And she's sitting comfortably in the large office chair that your mother had furnished, and she smiles, gets up, comes round and just grabs you in a big hug.
As soon as she finishes hugging, I'm kind of going to push her away and just say, "Oh no, please don't get up. I wouldn't want the lady of the house to be inconvenienced."
Well, I wouldn't be inconvenienced if my Lord Protector was actually here to keep me company. She boops you on the nose.
I think Rock's just going to kind of turn around and look around the room and just say, "Well, this is weird."
Oh, every morning it's weird. It never stops being weird. It was her place. It was Grandmama's place. I still don't feel like I'm right. And all Mum ever says in response is, "I felt the same," which is actually not as helpful as she thinks it is.
Well, you may see it every morning, but I haven't seen it for
darling.
a long time.
And she kind of takes your hands for a second. It's like, "Are you okay? I know this is all very weird."
Possibly. I think I best just do what I came here to do and try and get some information, and then leave.
Probably best. Right. Well, shall we get started then?
If we can.
And I think we're going to take a break from Wayne there and bounce over back to Theo. Hello. There we go. I think you can hear me now. Apparently, when I had the big OBS update, it also removed a lot of my mics, because that's fun.
Helpful.
Helpful. But I'm back now.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Rock disappears early morning, as he suggested he did, leaving Eugene to his day. What would Eugene like to do first? You also find that your uncle seems to disappear for a little bit and then kind of reappears some short time later.
I think Eugene wants to go shopping.
Cool.
Just briefly.
Excellent.
I think he's going to go on Brock's recommendation. He's going to go try and make a reservation at the Falling Petals for this evening if he can. And he'd like to just drop by Asterix's depository if possible.
Cool. Yes, the depository, Ash's depository, book depository.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is open as always. Her absolute chaos or cascade of big curls, her big personality bubbling over. She's wearing a lilac dress, which is just on the edge of revealing, and big red boots today. And she, as you kind of come in, she goes, "It's my favorite carrot. It's my favorite customer. Come in."
I'm sure you say that to everyone that
I
comes in.
totally do, but I actually really like you, so you get bonus because you spend gold, which is always helpful. How can I help you today?
Well, I don't really know what I'm looking for. I guess I'm looking for a gift.
Okay.
I want to get something for someone, and he likes
Hypothetically.
books. Hypothetically speaking.
Yes, hypothetically, said person is, are they interesting? Are they interesting to you? What are their interests?
I mean, he loves reading and studying, so I thought a book would be like a good gift.
Excellent. Do you know what fields that he likes? And she kind of starts moving you towards some of the reference sections and the history and stuff like that.
Can I do like an insight check or something to see if there's like...
We could do a hypothetical insight check based on the time you spent together.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just to see if I can remember anything that he is particularly interested in, or if he's mentioned anything. 18.
18. That's really good. So his field of magic is slightly different to yours, but you do have very similar interests in terms of like your approaches are slightly different, but that's one of the reasons you complement each other. You are much more structured and organized. He's much more theoretical and expansive. So he, ironically, magically, is a little more spontaneous in you. However, you've corrected some of the stuff that he's done, because even though it's really clever, it's also possibly going to blow up. That sort of thing when you were working together. There is one thing you kind of do come to mind. You're like, well, he doesn't know what's happened with magic over the last 500 years. He probably is starting to learn some of the changes and differences in the new academies and the like as well, because he's the sort of person who would be like, right, okay, where do I fit into all this? But he won't have a clear picture. So if you can find him something along the lines of more recent history of magic and more recent history of advances in both magic and magitech, he would probably be fascinated by that.
Well, I mean, here's a thought. So he was sort of on an island trapped in time for a while. So he doesn't really know that much about like more recent magical discoveries. So
Oh,
maybe something like a recent history of magic or something like that. Maybe some. Can you think of anything along those lines?
I can, yes. I'm not going to insult you by trying to sell you Tythic Perb's treatise on modern magic.
I'm sure he's going to get that from the horse's mouth anyway. So yeah, don't worry about that.
I have some wonderful ideas. Let's see now. Not this imperial nonsense. They edit badly. Oh, here we are. This is a complete history of Declanian advances coming straight from the university itself. It doesn't have actual spells in it, but it does talk about like some of the advances in theory in the different schools of magic, the proposed existence of and research of graviturgy, which is an interesting one, and this concept, I'm sure you've encountered in it, chronology, chronomancy, as well. Highly hypothetical, talking about how different schools could blend their theories together to kind of come up with new types of magic if they chose to. It's good. It's interesting.
Okay, well that sounds good, and if it's on your recommendation, I'm sure it's great. So,
well, one of the things that's good about it is it's a smart read, and it's actually readable as opposed to just dry theory.
I mean, I'm sure he's not too bothered about that, honestly.
And she passes it over to you to have a look through.
Yeah, I think he'd probably flip through the pages, have a little look.
As with most Declanian spell books and spell theory books, it is beautiful. It's like elegantly decorated, illustrated really well. It's one of the things that Declans kind of think they're slightly better at magic than everybody, and they kind of put it into everything they do. I think you kind of have a look through, and then you're just like, there's a couple of things in here that are a bit like, we're so wonderful in Declan, but actually there's some really strong theory here. In addition, you do notice it's not tied to one of their universities or colleges, so it's an independent book.
Okay. This seems good. I'm sure he'll love it. Anything else new and interesting that I might like while I'm here?
She kind of sees that you're eyeing the graviturgy section a bit longer than everything else. And she just pulls out a small book, which is a beginner's theory on the treatise of gravitational magic.
Ooh. Can I hold it?
Yeah. It's not quite as beautiful as the book you just picked out for your hypothetical. It is, but it's a much more plain book, but it does have the principal basis for gravity magic in it. And you think with the right application and like with research, you might even be able to develop some of the gravitational spells.
Ooh, interesting. Okay. As he's flipping through, he's definitely gonna sniff the pages.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's that whole quite crisp, thick parchment paper. Yeah, the print is like quite nice slightly tinny ink smell to it as well. It's just kind of really sits in your centers and just kind of makes you feel like you're in the library.
Amazing. Oh, brilliant. I'll take these two then for now.
15 gold in total.
Cool.
And do you want the hypothetical book wrapped?
Yes.
And she smiles, and she just kind of wraps it up in this very pretty crepe paper that's just kind of like deep blue with little grey like wands embellished upon it, and kind of finished it off with a silver bow. There you go. Consider the wrapping free. It's nice to see you smiling.
Thanks. Well, it's nice to see you.
Yeah.
Is it weird to say that I've missed you?
No, it's not weird. I've missed you too. You and your friends definitely make this place lively every time you drop past.
I'm sure we'll be past again soon.
Yeah. If you
I've got some research to do.
Excellent. And my daughter says that you're all wonderful, by the way.
Yeah, she's very cute.
She is, isn't she? And a complete handful.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah. Well, I better be going. Hypothetical plans to plan, but also keep spontaneous.
She kind of looks a bit confused at you for a second, and kind of goes, "Oh, okay. Well, you have a lovely day, and I will see you soon."
Yep. Bye. And he leaves.
Amazing.
I think he's probably just going to head home because that was really all he wanted to do, was to make the reservation and go get a present. And then when he gets home, I'm going to use, I think I'll just cast sending and send Gree a message. Okay. Hi, it's Eugene. If you're not busy this evening, would you like to join me for dinner? It's Eugene, by the way.
Are you going to let those 2 words go?
At 7.
You get a reply back going, "Oh, Eugene, I'd love to. I'm back in Cloud's Cairn. That's really, really good. I will see you soon. I will," and cuts off as he kind of gets to the end of the message. Won't count out my word. Basically, but you get the impression that he is fine for that and would like to do that as well. And just over a second or two later, you go, "Oh, I forgot to ask. Am I meeting you at the restaurant at 7, or am I meeting you at your house at 7?"
That's a good question. Well, meet me at my house at 7.
Amazing. Yep. So you kind of.
Oh God! Now he has to decide what to wear, and Rock's not here. Okay, I'm gonna cast sending again. Message Rock. Rock, you're probably busy, but what should I wear? Okay, thanks. Bye.
I think you're in the middle of a conversation. This is probably, you get this one on the boat. I think you're still traveling at this point in time. It's quite early in the day, so I think you have to have this really sort of awkward conversation.
Yeah, so Rock's just like that with her. Rock will just send one back going, "Where? For what?"
Oh, I only have one more spell slot wrong. Okay, I will cast the thing again. For hypothetical date with Cree going to restaurant, what's the dress code?
Rock will reply and say, this one is easy. Wear something that makes you feel good and that you're comfortable in.
That is completely unhelpful. Okay, I think Eugene just like kind of gets together lots of different options, and then after trying to like think of like logical ways to decide between all three, like put pros and cons lists or whatever, he then kind of gives up and goes to get Kath and asks for her advice. Kath, are you busy right now?
This humongous stone golem stops making the bread that she makes and turns and goes, I can help if you need me. What do you need?
Well, I'm trying to pick an outfit to wear to go to dinner, and I'd usually ask Rock, but he's not here, and I tried to send him a message and he really wasn't helpful at all. So I just asking for opinions, I suppose. This one or this one? Like, what is more, like, I made an effort, but I didn't spend all day thinking about it. I just kind of grabbed the first thing I thought was cool, but like I also did make an effort.
There's a moment of silence, and you kind of read into that slightly that this may not be Kath's major wheelhouse, as she is literally a walking statue. But she kind of looks down and she kind of goes, well, I don't know if I can answer all those questions, but that blue looks really lovely against your skin.
Okay. So the blue, right?
I like the blue, yes.
Okay.
And I think that's a really nice cut, and I think that you look really nice in it. And it's very different from your day wear, and it's not quite as big as the fancy wear you wore before, so how does that help? I don't know.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I'll let you get back to.
No, this is what I'm here for. Just to help any way I can. And she just goes back to baking it. Oh, does that mean you won't need food this evening?
Oh, right. Yeah, sorry. I should have told you. I'm trying to be more spontaneous.
Well, it's working very well.
Okay. Well, thanks for your advice. I'll get out of your way.
No problem. As you kind of wander off, you hear Bordeus' voice coming from further back in the house going, I think you handled that really well. So leaving your two house staff to their daily tasks, you go back upstairs. Do you want to do anything else with your day, or would you like to move on to the date?
No, I think that's it for the day. He's just going to be going back and forth between the two outfits.
It's going to be doing that wonderful thing we do where we're just like, I have one thing this evening that I have got all my
waiting
about.
time now. Yeah. I'm just in waiting mode. Yeah. It's 6 p.m. and I'm ready.
Amazing. Right. Well, I think that's a good place for us to take a small break as well, and we will come back and we'll carry on exploring these wonderful solo adventures that these two wonderful characters are having. Yep. So we will be back in about 10 minutes. So that's about 1:45. Go and grab yourself some drinks, nip to the loo, and we will catch you then.